Hello, hello. You're tuning in after the event. Just stay present for a little while. We are about to go into something. I was asked to do this a little while ago. We knew when we did the live channel. Hey Michelle, thanks for saying hi. You're like my favorite person to have a conversation with on lives. Spirit help me understand. Actually, I'll go back. For those of you who don't know, my name is Dana and I'm a spirit channel. Collective spirit channel is probably better my flow, but obviously I work one-on-one with people in spiritual coaching in a variety of ways that shows up. We work together with psychic mediumship, which psychic and mediumship, you're reliable, you are. Yeah, certainly, like I get, as soon as you say that, I'm like getting this lion's roar. You know, it's like presence, aware, awake, willing to do things. Totally. Yeah, Spirit is saying I'm getting off track. I don't mind getting off track a little bit. We knew this energy was going to be here for a while. The psychic mediumship, there's like often we separate psychic and mediumship. Psychic is something that we all are. And it's like an extension of our physical senses. So we call them spidey senses. They are like subtle versions of the physical senses, otherwise known as the clairs. So clairvoyance is what a lot of people understand as a word. That is a gift that all of us have to varying degrees, obviously innately. And some people just have a baptism of fire where suddenly they're just like, ta-da, here I am, I just get all this information and it's easy and there's no energetic blowout and all the rest of it. But the interesting thing, and this is what Spirit is saying is partially why we're going to talk today, is that we are all becoming more psychic because of the astral alignments that have been ongoing for years. So this is not a new phenomena. This extra light on the planet is not a new phenomena. There's a certain amount of it that actually ties into the fact that we're all on this information superhighway. You know, in the 1990s, not so many of us were able to access so much information so rapidly and so quickly. And a lot of this is hand in hand, in tandem with the collective consciousness. So as our collective starts to evolve collectively, so as mankind starts to get access to greater wisdom through our own physical earthbound technology, we also start the process of amassing new energy and new light, because this is a stream consciousness. We are a stream consciousness. You know, we've never, ever, ever been trapped in a physical body completely separated from source. There's always been some interaction and some engagement. And this is the truth. This is something that's always been there. It's just that now more and more are becoming more obvious because the information we get access to, we can do more research, we can get across new ideas quicker. And actually even further than that, the collective has this expectation that we all get across everything. And the new kind of wave of this reality that we're all in at the moment, that has involved the insertion of a new suggestive DNA alteration, aka virus. This is symptomatic of the times as much as it is about anything. So let me just pause and just recognize some people. Hi, Tammy. Thanks for saying hi. Hi, Kathy. Lovely to see you. I appreciate the acknowledgement. Also, if you can, type in where you're at so that I know where you're tuning in from. And we'll just kind of drop in and drop out a little bit. Hi, Amanda. Hi, lovely to see you, darling. Kisses to you all the way across the pond. And so I always get emotional. Spirit's just laughing at me. So as we're increasing our expectation that everybody get across more things, of course, Denver, my old playground, I hope to get back there at some point. This is definitely a heart desire of mine. So as we get access to more and more light, more and more frequency, more and more technology, we're all becoming lighter, which basically means that our energy is less dense and physical, and it's becoming more thought form, for lack of a better word. So we all know those scenarios where people walk around and they're all lightheaded and they start to not necessarily see grounded reality. It's a problem at the moment that we're all experiencing because of this technology. We're spending a lot more time in the computer. We're spending a lot more time expecting people to get across things really quickly. So the weight of our DNA, the weight of our physical vehicle is actually feeling a lot of pressure at the moment to upgrade. And so we're noticing a phenomenon, and Spirit is asking me to call out, Victoria, also my old stomping ground. Adelaide, also my old stomping ground. Hooray! New South Wales, cool, where I'm at locally at the moment. So hooray. My 4 places that I love dearly. So as we're all getting lighter and we're all expecting to get across things quickly, we're naturally all becoming more unstable, actually, is probably a good word. So we have expectations on ourselves to get across things really quickly and to be better than we are. But ultimately, the body, we have a physical vehicle for a reason. The physical vehicle is the reason why we've incarnated in the first place. It's so that we can have the physical reality. It's so that we can have the separation. It's so that we can be reveling in our bodies and expressing our voices and listening and engaging in this sensory exploration. And so I'm getting so excited. Can you hear my voices lifting? Those of you who have done my course, you realize that as I get into spirit flow, the energy lifts and then my voice gets faster and more loud. I see it, and then I fall into light language. So there is a few phenomena that are really important to notice. One is spirituality is amping up. It's great that it is, because we're disarming the old program of the Catholic Church. I'm just going to declare that openly. The Catholic Church has significantly impacted through the migration program is not the word. What's the word? The colonization program. That's it. The colonization program. You can get faster, BD. DB. I can go way faster. We're learning to anchor the energy better. And as I'm upgrading my cellular structure, all of the headiness, I'm learning to hold and anchor that while still working through the physical vehicle, because that's where efficacy lies. And this is why with women and the Sacred Sister Soul Circles, our primary focus with that is to help to anchor energy so that the physical vehicle is being cared for. It's why self-care is so important, and understanding what your language, specifically your language, is of self-care. Because if you don't feel safe in your body, if you don't feel like you can show up and stay present with what is, then you can't participate in life. You can't participate in community. You have no efficacy. There's no impact there. And there are a lot of women specifically, but also men, who crave or desire to be of impact. They want to leave a legacy. They want to leave something here on the planet that says, didn't just exist in this time period, but I left the world different because I was in it. And these are all common dialogues that we all go through to varying degrees. But specifically right now, there's a lot of spirituality. There's a lot of psychic mediums appearing, which is great because more of you are becoming aware of your gifts. But the challenge with all of that is that a lot of it is ungrounded. A lot of it stays in this focus of being up in the clouds, in the air with the angels and in light and love. And we need that, but we also need this. We need the two together. So right now, what's going on astrally on the planet is we are in a Scorpio moon cycle. We are also in a sun sign of Scorpio. In fact, the entire year, the sun and the moon have been in the same astral system, which is not always the case. What this does is it usually talks about how we're starting to align our shadow aspects and our light aspects. So in practice, and Scorpio is a really good example of this, in this time period, and what people are experiencing is a really good expression of this. And that's because there's a lot of shadow. There's a lot of parts of us that maybe we don't want to see, maybe we want to hide, maybe we wish weren't there, being raised to the surface so that we can see it, so that it's in the light. So the lunar energy, that which we are hiding, that which is relating to the emotional expression, which has in the past been shamed, blamed, and demonized as not being okay, specifically with regards to the masculine, feminine, balanced paradigm that we've been in, there has been a significant amount of shaming people for expressing themselves emotionally from their trueness, their truth, disregarding the fact that when I'm sitting in a space of the now moment, so if I'm sitting in my body now and I have a conversation with you and I have a visceral emotional response to something that you're saying, we've been shaming the visceral response and the emotional stuff for so long as not being okay to be in conversation, that we've actually created a lot more demons and a lot more what we call thought forms, which entities is another word a lot of people are familiar with on some level. Of course, we know that we are all entities. Entities is simply the term of there being something that has an individualized aspect or an individualized identity. Thought forms themselves can't hurt you, but in an energy where we are ungrounded, in an energy where we are often up in the clouds, where we're often reveling in light and love, entities are attracted to that, because what we do is we actually leave our physical body behind, and then our physical body gets what we call infiltrated with energies that don't necessarily, well, basically the energies are doing us a favor. They're trying to call us back to the body. They're trying to call us back to the body. And the best method, and what we're going to do in a little bit, if you'd like to stay on and join us for 5 or 10 minutes for a little bit of a thing. I don't know what's going to happen because I'm a channel, but the energy at the moment is bringing energy up so that you can see it. And as long as you honor yourself and that which is shown to you, recognizing that your truth doesn't need to be someone else's truth, and your truth is simply your truth in that moment, right? If you can take responsibility for that, if you can look at it and allow space for that, this time period gets easy, because what it does is that you'll notice someone says something and you will get a visceral response and you go, okay, wow, that just happened. I'm listening to myself. I'm listening to what's going on, and I forgive myself for any past things that I might have done, ignoring this and maybe damaging my physical body by being up in the clouds and just trying to make everything easy. Instead, I'm going to stay with the dense reality. I'm going to stay with myself, because this is what Scorpio is great for. And I'm just going to stay present with what is until I see that it's time to let this thing go. And you can't let go of something that you're not expressing. You can't let go of something that hasn't had its time and hasn't had its voice. And you don't have to do this in front of people. You can do this on your own. But either way, you have the responsibility to create space for this paradigm. And this moment, at the moment, there's a lot of people losing their shit. There's a lot of people not owning the fact that their shit is their own. And when you take ownership of it, it's not about taking ownership of what the other person said. It's about taking ownership of your feelings. When you take ownership of your feelings and you acknowledge that there's space there for your feelings, you start to notice that other people start to have their triggers. And when they have their visceral response, when they have their emotional self, stand back and let them have space for that experience, knowing that it actually may have nothing to do with you personally. It can, but sometimes it's just their response, and let them own it. Let them be with it. Give them space to breathe. And once they've had their little experience, their system usually finds a different answer or a better way, you know. And sometimes if the energy is too intense for you, just say to the person, look, I'm noticing I'm getting triggered by your trigger. I'm noticing I'm having responses to what it is that you're going through right now. I don't feel like we can genuinely have a relationship in this moment that's going to be helpful for either of us. So I just need a little bit of space. Yeah, so many trigger happy at the moment. You can't control other people, Michelle, you know, like you can't, we shouldn't have to, you know, there should be space for other people to regulate themselves. We can, of course, help, but sometimes if we see better than they do, because sometimes we can, because we're not in that reality, we want to dive in and we want to give them answers. But actually more and more, the more I'm learning, the more I'm diving and the more I'm expressing myself in truth, I'm realizing that most people have their own answers, and most people just need a bit of space and the allowance of some time to acclimatize to what's just happened. And as long as you continue to stay in open space and don't start to close down and shut them off, or the word is called cancelling. You know, you'll hear the cancel culture, almost said cancer culture, but yeah, same thing, different conversation maybe. But this whole idea of just trying to annex something that's bad or wrong or different, it's like, you know what, there's space for everything. I don't need to buy into that. I don't need to buy into anything that doesn't align with me, but I also don't need to control someone else's truth. When we talk about consensus building and true democracy, All voices should be heard, and when they're all in ownership of themselves and not being manipulated by other pressures, then that's where consensus is able to be found. It doesn't come from shutting down a proportion of society and only listening to the loudest voice. This is dictation. So anyway, we're going to dive in afterwards. We're just going to take you through a little session. So those of you who want to, you're welcome to. If you just want to watch, that's fine. We are in the 1111 portal. So if you'd like to join me, I invite you to now close your eyes and just breathe for a little bit. So at the moment, I invite you to close your eyes and breathe. As you breathe, I invite you to breathe in through your nose. Pause for a little while and exhale out through the mouth. And as you exhale, I want you to just let go, just drop into your body a little bit further. And continue this breathing, inhaling in through the nose, pausing for a little while. And allowing, as you drop into your breath, for the breath to elongate. Inhaling in through the nose and out through the mouth. And staying present with you. Presence is all that is needed for this particular journey as we start to call down the activation of the 1111 portal. Recognizing that you have all that you need in this moment, in this time. As we breathe, we allow. As we exhale, we let go. And it's in the surrendered moment that we are able to reach our physical form and allow ourselves to relax, to receive that which is being given to us in any moment. So I now allow any outside noise just to drift on by as you pay attention to your feet and your fingers. Allowing yourself just to recognize, as you're breathing, how important your feet are in assisting you to move forwards with your life. Allowing you to be present in this moment. Your feet are portals to a world that exists underneath you, that supports you from underneath. And so I invite you now to send your thoughts down to the earth. Heading down, 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 if you will, through the soles of your feet. Trusting that the Earth Mother has protection already built in her system. And that right now, you are the safest that you've ever been. Sending your thoughts down, down, heading to the Earth, the galactic heart of the Earth Mother. And it doesn't matter if you don't know what that looks like or feels like. The intention will take you there. And in a little while, you may feel a sense of your feet landing energetically somewhere. And you may sense, feel, or notice an energy that surrounds you, protects you, and also opens you up just that little bit further into the light. Through darkness, you find light. And in the end, we are one with the big picture, always, anyway. But here I invite you to invoke the loving heart of the Earth Mother to be with you and to surrender to your soul's calling. And so just stay breathing. Stay present with what you notice and sense and feel. But stay open. And allow her that called you here to be in physical form, that wants you here right now as you are, to gift you with support so that you may move forwards towards the path that soothes and suits you For any path that aligns with your soul's trajectory will always feel right. So you may need to shed a few layers. You may need to let go of a few ideas and constructs, thought forms, until you feel a sense of resonance. And so allow yourself a few moments here and just notice how you feel. You might feel like a little kid on a chair with swinging legs, or you may feel like a woman or a man, or you may feel like you've just won a race. You may feel just a loving, tender embrace. Allow your soul to bring forth that which you need to see for your own awareness. So we allow the 1111 frequency, self-actualization, manifestation frequency to build in our system, so that we may sense across the day and across the energy that's available to us right now in the lead up to the full moon, to keep us grounded and present with the earth, with her loving heart and her support system, and to keep that hum calling you to where the source that is you calls you to be. The rest is allowance and staying open to what may be. In a little while, I'll invite you to come back up through the soles of your feet. The Earth Mama is with you. She likes sometimes to be invited to be more active in your space. And so at any time you can repeat this, you can listen back to this recorded video and tune back into this sensation and the energy of the 1111 frequency. So just spending a few more moments here. The Earth Mother also invites, if there's anything troubling you right now, anything that's frustrating you right now, we invite you to send it down through your feet and to gift it back to the Earth Mother so that she may assist you to move forwards with or without it. And so allow yourself to stay in this sense of all things being okay, all feelings being okay. So we allow ourselves to gently and softly coat ourselves in an energy bubble. An energy bubble filled with gold frequency. And so what that looks like is gold dust falling from above and seeing it land land on the outside of an energy bubble that you're in. And so just check in around your body, forward, back, two sides, top and bottom. Leaving some space down the bottom for this connectivity with the Earth Mama, trusting that the only connection that you have beneath you will be between you and the Earth. Allow the gold frequency to just seal any crack, any fracture, and to allow you to be safely soothed by just another layer of intelligent protection that allows light in, but keeps you with the sense that you're being protected, nurtured, and cared for. And that just like all things, you have an auric field and an energy that is precious and valued here. And just bring your attention now back to your lungs and your breath. Just taking a few breaths, staying here, seated where you are. You may notice an image or a sound or some message appearing in your field right now. And if you receive anything, great. Trust that whatever it is that's being gifted to you right now comes with love and with an appreciation for where you're at your journey and what it is that you're calling into your field right now to support and serve you. Understanding that that which serves you also serves the collective, for where you sit in a balanced form, feeling powerful, you will relate to people better. And you will expand yourself in ways that serve us all. And this is a gift. You are a gift. And so slowly bringing your energy back, thanking the Earth Mother for her frequency. Energy in and energy out. Breathing energy in, energy out. Calling you back. Allowing yourself just to move a little bit. Maybe rubbing your hands, flicking some energy out. I often like to encourage my circles for you to call yourself back with an I am present 3 times said, calling yourself back into your presence, back into your body. And only when you feel like you've called yourself all the way in, pulled yourself all the way back into integration, and I encourage you to open your eyes and to join us once again in the external world. I'm with that, I'm with my cacao and rose today, so if you've ever made ceremonial cacao with rose petals, organic of course. Rose is very high in vitamin C, it's really great for a lot of things actually. And yes, you can eat rose petals just as long as they haven't been sprayed. So how was that, guys? Let me know how that experience was by commenting if you'd like. I'm just going to, of course, acknowledge, thanks Sarah Jane, thanks for saying hi. Lovely to see you online. Please let me know where you're located. We've got people from Adelaide, Denver, Melbourne and New South Wales. So, and Cheryl, hi Cheryl, thank you for my rose. I'm wearing my rose dress today, so definitely in rose frequency. Which I'm actually getting a little bit of a desire to share with you a little bit about what rose frequency is about. Rose is actually more complex than most people realize. A lot of people, of course, associate rose with romance. Roses come in a whole lot of different shapes and sizes. Rose comes with a whole lot of different personalities. So if you've ever looked into rose and the way that roses appear, we have so many different types of roses. Hi, Jen. Hi, do you have Pat with you today? Lovely to see you. Beautiful. And thank you for saying hello. All different roses, they all have different things. Some are low-lying and they like to stay close to the ground. And some like to stand up really tall and like to be in the sun all the time. And some like to grow in bunches, and some just like to be on their own. Some like a lot of attention, and some actually like to grow in the shade behind the leaves so that they're not really seen. And so rose for me is the quintessential woman. Of course, again, the Catholic Church will be talking a little bit about this for a little while because of the shedding process of what we're all going through. And, you know, again, I just want to remove the paradigm of shame, the shame, blame, guilt paradigm, because this paradigm in itself has a limited value in the world. Hi, Pat. I'll say hi to Pat as well. No, she doesn't have Facebook, so lovely to have you both on today. No problems, Michelle. Love you. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in and for your encouragement. Hopefully I'll make you back down to Adelaide at some point soon. So I feel really blissed out about that. So guys, I'm going to run off in a little while. I do have a psychic development circle that I'm running in a little under an hour, and that's a 5-week program that I've been offering, and it's going to be like a foundational course that I'll offer across the year now. So I hope that interests you. It's basically just fundamental psychic senses. Thanks, Mish. And psychic senses, I think, is kind of the new thing. Like I'm getting the sense now that it's almost irresponsible to not learn about your psychic energy and how it works. There's a lot of psychic manipulation in the field that's unconscious, i.e. people are pulling energetically on other people's fields and not realizing that they're doing that. And people, like, psychic attack is actually a thing. I've seen a lot of things in people's energy fields as a healer that shouldn't be there and are. And when I explain it to the person who's sitting there, what I see and what I think it's attached to, they can nearly always validate that scenario with those particular people is actually in their awareness. I've also read for people where I've been psychically attacked because certain energy's been booby trapped, and it's the most hilarious thing to me, because I know that it can't hurt you except where you allow it to and you take it in and attach to it. But I remember hearing about psychic attack and kind of having conversations with other practitioners about it. And then the first time I read for someone and I tuned into something that was going on with another person and I got attacked by something, I got like a sensation of choking, and then I started laughing, because the thing is, it was just so out of the blue and so unpredictable, and it was so obviously that there was a part of me that was like, oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know that doesn't have to bother me, and I know that actually has nothing to do with me. So I was able to resolve the energy pretty quickly and move it on. Now, that's only because I knew about it. That's only because I started the dialogue with my spirit, and because I started to learn about the language of spirit. And when we talk about spirit, of course, spirit is in all things. So we access spirit first and foremost through accessing our own spirit. It's not an externalized giving away my power type of an energy. It's I fully wield that which is within my energy field, and I understand how that communicates and interacts with other energies or entities. So I hope that makes sense to some of you. And those of you who are just joining the call, thank you. Please come and say hello in the comments if you'd like. I'd love to acknowledge you. It's one of my favorite things to do, because it's important for all of us to receive acknowledgement, however it is that it shows up. And in this case, it's just me saying hi in response to you saying hi. So come and say hi, let me acknowledge you. And if any of you have any questions you would like me to tune in just briefly on your behalf, I open that space. We are practicing psychic senses. So Otherwise, I'm also just going to direct some of you, if you're having a hard time with the energy at the moment, I will direct you to my YouTube channel, where I did channel a lunar energy forecast that explains a little bit about why it is that the energy is the way that it is at the moment. And you may find some interesting things there that might help you get through this lunar cycle. And when I use the term get through, I do want you to understand that you have a lot of power, honey. You do. It's just that most of us don't understand how powerful we are until we start the dialogue of spirit within. And that dialogue takes a lot of different shapes and forms, and there's a lot of ways that you can start that process and undergo that. But powerful isn't just yelling at people and being really assertive to the point that you're actually scaring other people off, because this in itself it's actually a phase that a lot of us go through, where we go from a seat of feeling overwhelmed and feeling like we need space and we need time, and people are in our space all the time, and at some point you'll snap, and when you snap you start to get really assertive, but in quite an aggressive way. And it's a passive aggressive paradigm. I won't lie to you, we all go through that. Hi Katrina, thank you for saying hello. If you'd like to share, please tell me where you're tuning in from. That would be really great. We'd like to know where people are from at the moment. And so just again, if any of you have any questions, please just put it in the comments. Otherwise, I'll move on soon so that I can prepare for the crew that's amassing for Spidey Senses for psychic training. Just giving you space and time, just in case you've got questions. At the moment, I'm not being drawn to anything, so, which is my sign for giving space. Sunny Coast, oh beautiful. I haven't made it up there yet. I'd really like to make it up there at some point. It's quite humid today here too, so we had a massive electrical storm last night, and it was fantastic. It's so exciting to me because I haven't had a lot of those types of experiences. All right, if there's no questions, what cacao do I use? Actually, I'll post a link in the comments, but it's called Love Bean Cacao. It's the one that I use. I use it specifically because Audrey, who is the founder of Love Bean Cacao, has spent quite a lot of time in Guatemala with a collective of women. And the women actually grow the cacao, and they sit down and they pray to it, and they do a whole lot of thing. And it's a women's only collective. And so they create the cacao slabs, and so she imports it obviously from Guatemala. So it's called Love Bean Cacao if you want to Google it. And Audrey is, I think, based in the Dandenong. So yeah, she also has some really interesting stuff there around cacao and what she does. So yeah, great, Amanda, you'll be most welcome. Really most welcome. We would love to have you in Psychic Development Circle. So of course, timing, like when time is right, it's always really important. So no problems, Jan. So Kathy, yes, we will cards. We're doing some cards. So I'm just going to do a bit of a psychic senses from cards as a stimulus. So we worked with clairvoyance last week. We're working with clairaudience this week in the crew that I'm training at the moment. And yeah, we'll do a little bit of clairvoyance work with the cards, I think. So let's see. So the first card I actually pull for you, because I love working with cards, and we will do an online card course at some point, but for the moment it's just Spidey Senses. This one is obstacles and challenges, but I picked it upside down. So with upside down cards, they usually mean the reverse. So I'll just explain that you'll notice actually that when it's this way, do you see that the obstacles and challenges, she's at the bottom and she's kind of walking towards the ledge. But if I turn it this way, it actually looks like she's pretty well grounded. And so Kathy, the topic I think I want to talk about is that this particular reading for you is actually about being more grounded. And so, but Spirit is also talking to me that it's the reverse card, which means that the subject that we're going to talk about, or the question that maybe you have, is that I get the sense that your question is, how can I be more grounded, because you're not as grounded as you could be. And so as I say that, I get drawn to the circle, and this is a golden circle around here. So the first thing I want to actually suggest to you is that with the circle that's there, you may, if you joined the exercise that we just did something which was a golden bubble cover. Now, some people are like, oh, that's woo-woo, how does that work? It actually does shift the energy quite well, but what it does is it actually seals the energy field. And so when we're talking about sealing the energy field, this is talking about psychic boundaries. So this is about the delineation of where you are as opposed to where someone else is. And so what I want to say, Kathy, is that if you want to feel more grounded and more centered and more present, the idea here we want to impart is that it's about recognizing what's in your space rather than falling into other people's spaces. And so a good example of this might be, I might be sitting in front of the TV and I might be watching something on TV. And as I'm watching it, I'm starting to fall into the story. And as I fall into the story, my energetics start to become more like the story. And as I do that, my physical body, which is me, starts to become someone else. And as I start to fall there, I start to feel frayed. And what I'm actually doing is I'm outside of my own energy egg. I'm outside of my own energy bubble. And so this is like a form of giving my energy away to something that actually doesn't relate to me at all. Or if it does, the relationship isn't in the physical, you know, that person whose story I'm listening to on the TV. And this is just an example, right? This person who I'm listening to on the TV actually has nothing to do with me. A good practice, and this is what Spirit's reminding me, and this is what I think I'll leave you with. A good practice is actually recognizing that this is my physical body and this is what's physically in my field now, and this is what I have influence over. When I'm listening to a story that's away from me, I have no influence over that or any impact. And so if it's about something that's on TV that maybe does impact me and I can actually see how it impacts me, then I want to ask myself, okay, so what can I do about that? Like, what can I physically do about that? What's within my tool belt, in my energy field, that allows me to move forwards? And this might be that if you're watching a story about homelessness on TV and you're falling into that, you might go, okay, I have a physical body and I have a physical house and I'm feeling pretty safe and well. So maybe I might volunteer at a homeless shelter, or maybe I might recognize that at the moment there's a housing crisis in Australia and that I actually have a spare room. So maybe I might reach out to different organizations and see whether or not someone might need a bed to sleep in for a moment. You know, these are things that I can actually do. That's within my scope. That's within my influence. Otherwise, I'm outside of my energy bubble and I'm differentiating my energy, dispersing rather my energy outside of that which is actually within my scope of influence. So I hope that that resonates with you, Kathy. Cool. Yeah, Tammy, we have time for one more, so I'm just going to do that. Yeah, this is actually a psychic. This is an Oracle Tarot deck. So Katrina, I really love tarot. Tarot is awesome. I actually have Tarot, which I really love. Tarot is amazing. It's actually often people who are quite intellectual and are maybe struggling to fully feel present with spirituality. Sometimes learning tarot helps to get the conversation and the flow, because there's a lot of rules and structures in tarot classically that helps you to navigate what it is that's trying to be, expressed. Excuse me, I'm just clearing energy. It's partially the cacao. Oh, yeah, all right, I'm just getting a nudge. I'm going to move on soon. Anyway, sorry, I love tarot too. But these are actually a tarot oracle deck, and then I also have oracle decks. So this lady, Lisa Williams, is actually one of my mentors. So if any of you are looking for a medium mentor, I actually recommend Lisa Williams. And you can actually YouTube her. She's got a lot of really great YouTube. She actually used to have a TV show in Hollywood that was about what she does. So quite an amazing lady, Lisa Williams, if you're interested, and a great card deck for her guidance. Cool. Yes, cool. So Tammy, lucky last before I move on, and thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate the support. and your willingness to be in this conversation with me actively. Oh, we have Jumper. There's 2 cards I want for you, Tammy, but let me get that one first. That one's sideways, so that'll be interesting. Oh, yes, sir. Okay. So, differentiation. I got this sideways, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit about that. But firstly, let's just have a look at the card. The card is about emotional withdrawal. So, this is a reading for Tammy, and this is just talking a little bit about how at the moment you're finding the heat of some of your conversations with people or some of your interactions with people is maybe a little bit too much for you. So I get the sense that people might say things, and when they do, you kind of want to either argue with them, or you don't really see that that's right for you, but you don't really feel confident in expressing what it is that you have to say, and maybe you're lacking a little bit of confidence in your ability to clearly articulate that which you mean without being offensive. And we all, you have to learn skills in that. We all have to learn skills in that. And I have a really great, another one of my mentors, Damien Bollaert, teaches a relational course called The Fundamentals of Authentic Relating, which I actually recommend to everybody. A lot of my clients get that as a recommendation, partially because Spirit, I was drawn to him very strongly by Spirit, Lisa Williams too, but Damien specifically because he's here based in Australia. And I know him personally now. But yeah, getting on to the reading. So emotional withdrawal, this is actually quite a common thing for us to have. When it comes sideways, this is because the phenomena is that if I have difficulty expressing myself in relationship with someone directly, what often happens is that I actually, because I can't go directionally forwards, the energy actually goes sideways. And when it means sideways, it means that it'll either build in my system because I'm not discharging the frustration and the energy of what it is that I want to say and I can't. It'll build up in my system, and then suddenly I start to get really moody, or I might even just randomly say shit to people that isn't necessarily kind or supportive. And sometimes we can be overly kind and supportive of people who are just being nasty, for sure. Sometimes we actually need to be quite blunt with people, but this sideways phenomena is actually quite common with a lot of people. So Tammy, what we're saying essentially is that at the moment you've got this paradigm where relationally you have interactions with people where some of them might be challenging you and you're having difficulty expressing what it is that is basically your perspective. And we all have a right to our own perspective. Whether it's right or wrong, our perspective is still a truth for us. And if we don't give ourselves permission to have a truth, even if it's wrong, we can't actually hear ourselves enough to really be able to do anything useful and helpful with the energy. So often it'll build and build and build, and then suddenly it comes out sideways. Or it ends up manifesting in psychic misbehavior, basically, is the word I think I'm looking for. So the card that jumped out, though, because that was the card that I pulled for you, but the card that jumped out is this one. And this one's just the heart chakra card. And I say just the heart chakra card. The heart is one of those interesting energies where it's like we all have one. Every animal and every human has a heart, right? And the heart is our principal organ. We don't live without a heart. And I'm not getting into a discussion about, whatever pacemakers and stuff, but we all have a heart, and our heart's energy is actually stronger than our head energy if we allow it to be. And there's research. If you've heard of the Heart Math Institute, the Heart Math Institute has done a lot of research around head and heart intelligence. And so anyway, heart chakra, the answer with regards to this is really about taking full ownership of the self, understanding that firstly, I have every right to have my perspective, whether it's right, wrong, aggressive, compassionate, whatever it is that your experience is, it's necessary, it's vital to keep you alive. And so we don't disregard anything that comes up, but of course what we do with it is another question. And so what I would recommend you do, my love Tammy, is there are a lot of things that really help the heart. One is eating green. And so you can go and do green smoothies. You can just munch on, I often just have green leaves and spinach in the fridge, like loose leaves. And every so often when I'm feeling whatever, I just munch on it. actually. Cucumbers are also really good. I'd recommend that because I get the sense also, Tammy, that you might have some inflammation in your system. So often cucumbers can be really great to alkalinize the system. So I'd actually also recommend that. All of this stuff helps for green heart. You can wear green. Cacao is actually a beautiful heart opener, and rose. So go out and buy yourself roses, lovely. It's not a question of money. It's about building your heart energy, because when we are heart healthy, our energetics create a paradigm that assists to support us in our relationships and with value, which translates into stability with money. So Tammy, I hope I can leave that with you. Hi Curtis. Unfortunately, Curtis, I do need to leave. I actually have a class to teach. Otherwise, I would love to give you a card. But please tune in a little bit earlier next time. You know, I'd love to read for you. So, see you, Katrina. So my beautiful, lovely friends, thank you for tuning in today. It's the 11:11. You have roses in your garden. Oh, I wish. I don't currently, but you know, I in my heart of hearts, I just desire a rose garden to be able to nurture and care on and grow and love on. So, yeah, it's so exciting, the idea. I'm getting a little bit emotional. Thanks, Curtis. So beautiful loved ones, thank you for tuning in. We're going to do this again probably next week, but today is the 11:11 portal, and between now and the full moon, which is an eclipsed full moon, there's going to be a lot of this toing and froing. So please stay tight, stay well, eat green, drink lots of water, ceremonial cacao. Ideally, stay off the sugar. Sugar is not as great as it's cracked up to be. And yeah, I'm going to sign off now. So blessings and light, peace and balance, prosperity for all. And if you would like a one-on-one session, please book online. I'm really happy to be in service to you. So until our next time, sweet friends, appreciate you. See you.